Messy data ruining your app? What if your database could clean it for you automatically? In this video, I'll show you how to use Sequelize's powerful accessors and hooks to transform data on the fly, enforce clean values, and even auto-generate things like slugs for your post URLs. Stick around. This will seriously level up your Sequelize and Node.js skills. Sequelize allows you to define custom getters and setters for the attributes of your models. Let's take a look how we can add accessors or getters and setters to our models. I'm in Sequelize Express API project. As usual, the link to the code is in the description below. We have a Sequelize user model that we defined in one of the previous videos. Let's say we want to display user's name in all caps. What we can do is to use a getter function that will call to uppercase method on the user's name. Class getters and setters in Sequelize work the same way as in JavaScript. Therefore, instead of declare name, let's put getName. In the getter method, we will retrieve the original value for the user's name by calling getDataValue on this and passing to it the property name for user's name, which is name, no pun intended. Then we call to uppercase method to make the name all uppercase. And that's it. There's actually something you need to be aware of when using getters and setters. The methods you may call on or pass the values to may not work if the value is null or undefined. In case of the name getter, we don't have to worry about this because the name can't be null. So, there'll always be a value in the database for user's name. But if you don't have such constraint, always check for null or undefined values. Next, let's use a setter for user's email. Sometimes people use random capitalization when entering their email. That's why it is a good idea to store emails in the database normalized, all lowercase. Instead of declare email, we will put email setter. This setter will accept the value of string type. Similar to the getDefaultValue, we will call setDefaultValue method on this and pass the attribute's name, which is email, and the value we want to set. As I mentioned before, we have to be careful not to call to lowercase method on null or undefined. Since we can't be sure email will always have value, we will use ternary operator to check if email value is not null. And that's all it takes to use a setter. Now we can start the development server with npm run dev and head to API test.http file to check our code. First, we are going to call list users endpoint. We can see that the return user's name is capitalized. Next, let's create a new user with the email in all caps. The API returns back a newly created user, and we can see that the user's email is all lowercase. The accessors are working. Now you may have a question how to access the original value of an attribute that has a getter. We can do it by calling getDataValue method on the instance. In the user route file, let's update the return from getUserHandler. We will access the user properties by calling getMethod on the user instance. Then we will add original name property and assign it the original value. We are all set. Let's make a call to getUser with the ID of 1. We can see that the value for the original name property is the name of the user the way it is saved in the database. Besides already existing attributes, you can also define virtual attributes, which are attributes on the Sequelize model that don't really exist in the underlying database table, but instead are populated automatically by Sequelize. They are very useful to create custom attributes, which also could simplify your code. Let's add a virtual field called joinedOn to the user model. But before we do that, if you are enjoying this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. In the user model, let's add an additional getter called joinedOn. We will annotate it with a column decorator with a virtual data type. The joinedOn getter will simply return a created at date without time. If we make a call to get users now, the response also contains joinedOn attribute with the date when the users were created. And this column doesn't exist in the table. How cool is that? Another cool feature of Sequelize are hooks, also known as lifecycle events. Hooks are functions which are called before and after calls in Sequelize are executed. For example, if you want to always set a value on a model before saving it, you can add a before update hook. Sequelize provides a lot of hooks. The full list can be found in Sequelize documentation. One application of a hook could be creating a slug for a post. When a post page is displayed, instead of using post ID, it is better to use a human-readable slug so the post URL gets indexed by search engines. Let's use before create hook to generate a post slug. In the post model, we will add static async function generate slug decorated by before create. This function will accept a post instance. You can optionally pass a property name of type string to it as well. Generate slug function will count how many posts are already in the database with the same title. If then there are already existing posts, it will add a suffix that will be a number of posts incremented by 1. Then it will update the slug property on the instance with the generated kebab case slug. Next, let's import a before create decorator and an actual slug attribute to the post model. It will be have a string type. Finally, we will create a migration to add the slug column to the database with npm run migration create command. We name migration add slug to posts table. The app function of this migration will add a column slug to the post table. This will be a unique varchar column. We set this column to be unique to make sure each post has a distinct slug. Another thing that I like about Sequelize, and MySQL in particular, is that you can put added columns not just at the end of the table, but basically where you want. We want to put the slug column after the body column. TypeScript definitions don't recognize after officially, so TypeScript may still complain. You can bypass that with as any type on the options. The down function of the migration will simply remove the slug column from the posts table. We are all set. Let's run the migration to add a slug column to the post table with npm run migrate. After the column is added, we can go ahead, spin up a dev server and create another post. After the post is created, you can see a slug property in the response. If we create the second post with the same title, the slug property will now have suffix -2. This is how you can easily generate a unique post slug using Sequelize hooks. Hooks open a lot of development possibilities. This feature is one of my favorite in Sequelize. And that's how you can use Sequelize accessors and hooks to clean your data and simplify your code. But we're not done yet. If you want to learn how to safely delete records without actually losing data using Sequelize's soft deletes, check out the next video.